Hello, I'm Lydia and you're listening to Lens from the Fens. Hello, welcome everyone to another episode for Lens from the Fens. If you listened to my previous episode where I made a little announcement as to how my podcast will be formatted in the future, I said that I would potentially be moving to a seasonal format. So I think for what I've recorded already and what I've talked about is quite an introductory season. So this will most likely be my last one for that season. Just keeping it as an overview of myself, where I live, and a bit about what I photograph. And following that, my future seasons will be a bit more focused on the photography side, how I photograph wildlife in general, how I get set up, and then move on to doing some more interactive work where I take you out. I've got my microphone on and I take you to places with my camera, and you'll be able to be with me as and when things happen. So I've done a few tests with my outdoor microphone and the quality's really good and you can pick up quite a few noises outside. So yeah, that looks really promising. So I think for this last episode for my season, I will show you a bit of a preview about what to expect in future episodes. So earlier this morning I ventured out with my camera. I went to the riverbank near Crowland, about 5 minutes out from my house, just to test out my microphone. And from listening back to what I experienced and what I managed to photograph, I think it'd be really nice for all listeners to get an idea of what I'll be talking about and what you can hear while I'm out about with my camera. So I'll be talking in between some of what I talk about while I'm out and about, but otherwise you're free to listen along and hear what I get up to, where I am, and the wildlife that I get to see, and some of them which I managed to photograph. So I shall speak to you a little bit later on, but otherwise here is my first outdoor clip while I'm out with my camera. So I've just set up my microphone. I'm out on Deeping High Bank at the minute. And I don't know if you can hear it on the mic, but I can hear a cuckoo. It's way off in the distance. There's like a small patch of trees across the river and over a field. I can hear it coming from there. There's a pair of great crested grebe doing a little show for each other. I've actually just seen where I'm perched on the edge of the bank. It looks like it's the beginning of a nest, so I'm wondering if that couple is the one that's setting up the nest on the river. There's a skylark behind me as well, which I've heard. There's a mute swan. There's lots of swifts in the sky as well, sort of circling round. It's a bit wet, it's raining, it's not too heavy. So I have got a cover on my camera, just a waterproof one. There's a family of ducklings just swimming by. I'm just going to try and get a picture. Oh, there's quite a few ducklings. It's probably about 8. All just swimming by in amongst the reeds now. The mute swan's just woken up and it's looking at me. There's a pair of female and male mallard that just swam by as well. Just going back to the cuckoo, I don't think I've heard a cuckoo as many times as I have this year than all the years before. Last year was the first time I saw one fly over, I never heard them before that. But this year, I've just heard a good handful, which is really good because it's a bird that I haven't associated much with my childhood, just because of how much they're in decline. And to hear them 5 minutes up the road from me, it's really nice. It's a nice sound that I can now become familiar with, being as part of where I live and all the wildlife that's around it. I think I can hear the skylark again. Can't see it, but I can definitely hear it. Mute Swan's gone back to sleep on the other side of the bank. Crested grebe couple, they're still up the river. And I don't know if because they know that my presence is there that they're sort of staying away. But I remember photographing a pair last year, and I managed to photograph them as they were setting up their nest. There's a black-headed gull flying over. There's a common tern as well. But yeah, I photographed a couple last year who were doing the same thing. They were setting up a nest around this time. I don't think it's the same couple, but it's nice that they're still within the same area, if they are the same couple. I photographed, I think they had 3 chicks that survived. I don't know if there was any more than that. I wasn't there for when they first hatched. But there was definitely 3 chicks that I think all went independent. There's a moorhen as well. But if I'm able to get pictures of another family, then I think that'll be really good. They're a lovely bird, especially their plumage. I can hear the cuckoo again. It's probably really faint on the microphone, but it is quite a way off. I'm still trying to find that skylark. I can't see it at all. It's quite overcast, so I would be able to see it, but... Oh, I think there's 2. There's definitely 2 skylark now around here. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit further up towards the grebes. So I've got a little bit of tree in front of me, which might be a good spot as to where something like a goldfinch or any of the finches would land. I don't think there's anything in it at the minute. You can see the grebes, and looks like they're having a little rest, snoozing. Yeah, I can see the skylark now. It's way up there, calling away. There's a bit of movement in the reeds in front of me. Oh, I think that's a reed warbler. It's just flown in front of me, and it's gone actually into the tree I'm sitting in front of. Cuckoo again. You can see the warbler's going to come on show. Oh. Oh, I saw it, but I didn't get a picture in time. It's making its way up the tree though. Reed warblers was actually one of the first birds I photographed where I was in the little hide, like a natural hide. So, it's sort of a special bird to me, really. Ah, lovely. Let's come out and show now. It's like it's picking bits of buds off the tree. It's flying back down. Right, I'm gonna see if I can get any closer to those grebes. Fighters. Right, I'm gonna see if I can get any closer to the grebes without disturbing them too much. There's lots of stinging nettles around here. It's quite good because next to where the reeds are, there's like a high bit of wildflower patch. So I'm using it as a bit of cover as I walk by. So it comes in handy when you're short in height. You're able to get quite a good amount of cover. So they're still sleeping. Where I need to be, that's where most of the cover goes anyway, so I'm going to try and get photos of them from here. So they're quite different in colour. One's got a much whiter breast than the other. I'm not sure if that's any correlation to whether it's male or female. I'll have to double check the book. They're definitely noticeably different. Still resting. It's quite nice with the ripples on the water from the rain. So I'm actually on, I was looking at my settings on my camera. I'm on scenery at the minute, but that's only because I was using my camera linked up to a telescope the other night, and I just left the settings on there. Common turn just dove. I didn't get it though. Yeah, so my settings are actually, the ISO's on automatic. But normally, if I was shooting like this, I'll probably be on ISO 400, 500, about f5.6, which is this is actually on at the moment. And then I would normally play around with the shutter speed. It's depending on what I want to capture. If it's something that's not very fast moving, then it would be a bit longer of a shutter speed, but then anything fast moving, then I'll obviously push the shutter speed up. But at the minute I'm just working with what the settings were on last time. It seems to be working quite well. I think especially for birds in flight, it's quite good. So the grebes are still sleeping. I still don't know if I can get any closer without disturbing them too much, but I think what I've got I'm happy with anyway. So even if they did start to move, I wouldn't be too upset by it. But I've still got the reeds for cover. They could probably see my head now anyway, but yeah, everyone's just waking up. So I'll stop here. Yeah, they're moving off slowly now, which is okay. They're still sticking around, but they're wary now. They're definitely aware that I'm there. This one's still actually got his head tucked in his neck. Sort of like, yeah, I'm aware, I still want to be sleeping though. But they haven't scarpered off. Oh, it's a lapwing. It's a pair of lapwing. Flying right over. Hit a little pew. So I don't know if they're got a predator in the area. They're going back over the field now. Maybe they were scouting the area. Oh, there's one behind me as well. Really close. Whoa! Literally filled my whole lens. God, I've never seen them get that close to me before. I hope it's not me that they're wary of. But they just appeared from nowhere. There's definitely 3. But they're just right over my head. I'm not quite sure what's going on. The grebes are moving off now, so maybe the lapwings are doing a warning. It's actually starting to get heavier with rain now, so I'm going to pause it here, and then I'll see if I can move further down the river and see what's there. So from where I was on the riverbank, I actually decided to carry on down following the river towards Deepin Lakes Nature Reserve, which is where the next recording took place. There was quite a lot of interruptions in between, or there was times where I was just walking and not saying anything, so quite a bit has been taken out, but there's still quite a few events that happen and things that I see, so I hope you enjoy this second segment. So I've just arrived at Deepin Lakes Nature Reserve, which is one of the closest reserves to me. If you could probably hear, there's a lot of black-headed gulls around. But would you believe it, I've just had another cuckoo, so I could have a very good chance of photographing one, at least. But I've just been to leaving the car park. There is a couple of lakes. One of the smaller ones, there was a mute swan with her signet, just one. I don't know if there was any others. Little grebe, there was some coots with some older chicks with it. But I've literally just heard a cuckoo so close by that I'm really hopeful that I can at least get one picture, or at least see it, because I've only ever seen him once. So I'm just walking up the gravel road now. There's a couple of other people here, but not too many. A couple pulled up not long after me, and then someone just left, so I think it's fairly quiet, but yeah, that cuckoo sounded really close. So there's like, I think it's birch trees in front of me. I'm not very good with tree names, unfortunately. It's something I need to get, at least read up more about. But it sounded like it came from there. And there is a bit of movement in the tops of the trees. Just want to hear it call out again now. There we go. Oh, hello. Okay, I've just found a moth. I'll try and get a picture of it without disturbing it too much. It's hanging on a dead part of a leaf. So it's very well camouflaged. I need to learn my moths really, but it's try and get a closer look. So it's brown. It has triangles in the middle facing inwards on the wing. It's light brown and dark brown on the triangles. So when I got back home, I looked up what species of moth that was, and it turned out to be an angle shades moth. So the wings are folded along the body when they're at rest, which gives the impression of a dead autumn leaf. So they're quite frequently seen during the day, so seeing it resting out in the open, they're either on walls, fences or vegetation. So I may have seen it before in the past, but at that time it was just something new for me to see. So after getting a few pictures of that, I walked across like a little bridge into the nature reserve, and from here I talk about some of the birds that I see. So there's a family of blue tits with some fledglings. Okay, like the raspy voice. That would be the chicks. Let's see if I can get another picture. Sort of hiding in the foliage. There we go. Ah, that's nice. There's two chicks together that I'm photographing, picking away at the buds. Seems to be quite a few. There's definitely, I think, 3 babies. Black-headed gulls allowed again. Yeah, it's definitely around this time of year where they're looking to nest that they come in vast numbers. So apologies if they're quite loud on the microphone. There's a chiff-chaff nearby. Right, so I'm coming up to one of the largest lakes. This is the first one you come to besides the car park. I've just seen something flit in the trees to my right. Cuckoo's, it sounds very close now. It sounds like it's coming to the right of me. I just hope that the black-headed gulls are a bit more drowned out. The only issue with it being summer, everything's very overgrown, there's lots of green. So despite the winter when you could just see lots of branches, the leaves just cover everything. So I don't know how well I'm going to be able to see it. There's wood pigeons nearby. I've come out to a clearing and it's roughly where I've been hearing the cuckoo, and there are trees nearby which would suggest that they would like to rest in. Obviously when they have young they put in other birds' nests, so they're not the most loving of parents, but the chicks will then grow, they'll kick out the other eggs or chicks if there are any already born, and the host bird will then think it's its own chick, and that's how they get raised. Right, it's gone quiet again, so I'm gonna wait around here for a little bit, see if it calls out again. But I'm looking up in some quite tall trees, just seeing if there's any movement. Black-headed gulls are very vocal again. Oh, where are you? Very loud call just come from the tree in front. So I knew that I heard that bird call before, and after double checking with my bird sounds app, it was that of a Chetty's warbler. It's one that I've regularly heard and briefly seen when I've been volunteering at Frampton Marsh. So it was a nice call to hear since the last time I've been there, which was at the beginning of this year, was the last time I went. But obviously due to the lockdown, I haven't been back since. So it was definitely later on last year when I last heard a Chetty's warbler. So it was just really nice to hear it again at my local patch. Right, I've just heard it again. Now I have a feeling that it's gone on the other side. But it's definitely on my right. Right, so what I'm going to do, there's a little clearing. It's like a tiny path that goes to the riverbank. So I'm going to go in there. It's quite covered, so I should be well camouflaged. But I'm just going to nip in here, and then I'll be able to see the tree line. Right, so I can see there's like a jackdaw. More black-headed gulls. That's a wood pigeon in the tree. I'm back on the main path now. And this leads up to a bird hide. Okay, I think that's definitely on the other side. So, again, I still can't see it, but I know roughly the area I'm looking in now. Got the tiniest bit of clearing here. Oh, don't tell me. Okay, something just flew over. And it might have been the cuckoo. Because it flew from that direction. That's unless I hear it again and I'm wrong, but it definitely wasn't a pigeon. I'm just going to try and follow where it went. And there's a lot more mute swans on this side of the lake now, so I've passed the bird hide and now I'm on a long stretch of path which leads to the woodland area at the back, which is where I've seen muntjac and the grey squirrels. Oh, speaking of the devil, there is a grey squirrel in front of me. Just clambered up into the trees, so I don't think I'll be able to get a picture. I still need to see where that bird went though, because it definitely wasn't a pigeon of any sort. Probably going to end up going on a goose chase now. There's lots of damselflies in front of me as I walk up the path. Lots and lots of damselflies. So I'm back out near the bird hide. Still haven't heard the cuckoo call. So I'm going to go back to where I can see the big tree. Still sure that what flew over was the cuckoo, but I have no idea where it would have gone now. So I stayed around for another half an hour or so and I didn't hear the cuckoo call again. So I'm pretty certain that it was the cuckoo that flew over my head and went to another part of the reserve. But I'm really glad that I've been able to hear it in the local area to me, and that I know I can go back there over the next couple of weeks and see if I can actually see it rather than just hear it. So after that I started walking back to the car, and it was on my way back that I saw a muntjac deer on the path in front. It was a very large muntjac. It was probably the biggest ones I've seen in this area, and it didn't stick around for long. It went back into the bushes to the side, and then as I walked back towards the little bridge that then connects to the gravel road, there was a green woodpecker that came out, and it rested on a single fence post in the middle of the field in between the path walkway and where one of the lakes were. So I got a few pictures of that as well, which was really nice. And then walking out towards the car park, I also saw a blackcap, which was calling from a tree next to the road. So all in all, it was a really nice outing. I haven't done anything like that for quite some time, obviously due to the pandemic and not being able to go out as much as I would like anyway. So it was really nice to get back out to it, and now that some of the restrictions have eased, I'll be more than likely doing more trips out, either just somewhere local or plan a day trip somewhere, hopefully. Of course, depending on what areas allow a certain amount of people going, that being the reserves. I know there's quite a few reserves that are open, but you can't use their toilets or the visitor centre. But even with that, I'll just enjoy being outside and having my camera out again and seeing what wildlife I see. So I hope you enjoyed this little preview as to what to expect from next season. It'll definitely be a lot more to do with going out with my camera, talking to you, the listener, and just describing things as they happen rather than just going through a story sitting in my office. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I've got some ideas in mind of other episodes to do where I'm discussing a bit more about my photography side, providing more tips and advice. So there's a lot to plan, there's a lot more to record, and yeah, hopefully you will stick around and hear the other stories that I get to experience while you're with me. So yeah, thank you again for listening. I will provide updates on when you can expect to hear the next episode, either on my Facebook or on my Instagram pages. And one more thing, don't forget that you can still message me if you want, either through private messaging on my social media platforms with Photographic, or you can visit my website, to which there is a contact form on the podcast page for which you can fill in and write down any questions or any stories that you have, and that is at pinfold-photographic.co.uk. So thank you again for listening, stay safe, and I will speak to you all again very soon. Take care. My podcast cover shows my own image created using Canva. The theme music is provided by Purple Planet Music. Check out their royalty-free music at purple-planet.com.